What's up, former party people? This is Jerry, you know, the one who actually combs his hair on the A is for Alcoholic podcast. Now, if you're finding value in listening to the AIFA podcast every week and you want to support sharing it with others, we invite you to become a sustaining monthly or per show contributor. Go to patreon.com/AIFA. It's super easy and it only takes a quick moment. It's about as easy as buying one of those pre-cooked space chickens from the grocery store, taking it outside, giving it a big old kiss, and kicking it into traffic. Why would you do that? Anyway, you do you, and I'll do me. Again, go to patreon.com/AIFA. And with that, people, let's start the show.
A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time.
I need to update this computer.
Okay. Well,
not right now.
Not right now. Not in the middle of this.
Just a thought. Yeah.
Well, it's a good time. It's a good time of year to do that. You know,
Right.
To update, to upgrade, to begin anew, to begin fresh.
There you go.
You know?
To turn the bath mat over, as you will.
Just flip it over?
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Just flip it right over. Yeah.
Well, so it's not one of those.
Everybody's got athlete's foot at my house. I just flip the bathroom rug right over. Boom.
Mine's got where it's rubber on one side and it's got the little frills on the top, so it's not like I can't flip it. Like I guess
mistake, my friend.
You just get one of
Fatal
those straw
mistake.
ones where you can flip it and keep the.
This is like a weird terry cloth thing. That's like a
Okay, but it's the same on
fabric.
both sides.
Both sides same. Well, one side's cleaner than the other, so it's not the same. This is 2020 for me.
Yes.
Flipping that bath mat right over.
You know, you want to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
So welcome to the A's for Alcoholic podcast.
Yeah.
We thought today A could be for Auld Lang Syne.
Right. I don't know what that means, though.
Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit
Oh.
about it. I did a little research. And originally I was thinking it would be like A's for All Hangovers Day, but
Right.
I think it's funny when Jerry and I kind of come up with topics and we go back and forth. I will tend to try to be a little more, I don't know, cynical in my optimistic nature, and I find that the stuff that Jerry gives to me will sometimes be like a little more optimistic in opposition to his cynical nature.
I am fucking shocked right now, honestly.
No,
I really am. No, I'm amazed. Yeah.
This is what I've noticed from where we like throw things out, where I want I'll try to want to bring something a little edgier or something a little, you know, heavier or something, and then you're like, well, why don't we talk about, you know, like what you just suggested about resolutions and Auld Lang Syne and you know, all these things.
Well, it's so funny because I have the opposite view in the sense that I feel like I'm being cynical and you're being optimistic.
I know.
Our perception of it's hilarious because you're like, yeah, you'll come up with these things and I'm like, well, how long can we beat that dead horse there? Let's talk about hangovers again. I'm like, I mean,
right.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, you know what a hangover feels like.
You might have one right
Yeah.
now, and
You might, yeah.
And I didn't want to talk about it.
You're in the wrong place.
I didn't want to talk about it in the sense that, like, oh, well, it feels beautiful to wake up on a day and not have hangover on the first day of the year, and like,
yeah.
I don't want to be smug about it. I was thinking about that too,
No.
because that's not fun. Because if somebody has a hangover, whether or not they're choosing to quit drinking or whatever their deal is on their sobriety path or whatever,
Yeah.
it doesn't make them feel any better to make them feel worse.
Word. Like we're just like, you in a relapse right now, buddy? We're feeling great.
So Jerry suggested Auld Lang Syne, and
Right.
I thought that was apropos, and it fit the bill. Maybe next week will be B for beating a dead horse.
Maybe, who knows? I mean, we do that a lot in alcoholism. Yeah.
So Auld Lang Syne is an old Scottish song, written by Robert Burns, who is a poet. He's an old Scottish poet from I think the original dates back to like the 1600s. But and forgive me if I get any of this wrong. I have done some research, but I don't have my notes in front of me because I didn't take any.
Right. Like your research, you looked at Wikipedia about 2 hours ago.
Basically.
Which is great, though. I mean,
Hey man, it's 2020. So it's a song, and basically Auld Lang Syne idiomatically translates to "for old time's sake," and so it's like this. It's a song about nostalgia, and it's a very old song, and we sing it to ring in the new year, and I don't really know, like I feel like it's just kind of about camaraderie, and it's about drinking together. And there's a line in there that's that talks about even paying for your own drink, something about you'll pay for your pint cup and I'll pay for mine, about not, but so it's all about drinking, and and it's about camaraderie, and I don't think that those two things are necessarily bad, but we live in a country and in a culture where these holidays they revolve around drinking. I mean, that's what New Year's Eve is about getting as fucked up as possible. I mean, that's my perspective of it, being a bartender.
Well, yeah, and I think our perspective is different too, because we're drunks, so we're like, but I think that's the general consensus. Culturally, it is, at least. And it depends, I guess, on your age and where you are sitting with alcohol.
But I mean, like you were saying, you went to a party and this guy had a beautiful liquor cabinet, and I don't know this person, and I wouldn't judge them one way or the other. And
they didn't get drunk though. They didn't get drunk. Yeah, everybody was tired, but because we're all in our 40s, so everybody was exhausted. I mean, they drank, but nobody got drunk. But that being said, it's just part of the culture. It's what you got,
So I feel like it's more pervasive than it's not on these days, on holidays. Right. And it's, but Auld Lang Syne is this song that's about drinking and about camaraderie. And I think that it's very, I mean, when you hear it, I don't know if you, like, it has this, it definitely evokes a little bit of emotion when you hear the tune.
It does. It does. I think it's the key. I think it's the chord or the key. Yeah, I've been trying for 10 minutes. We've been doing this for 6 minutes, but I've been trying for about 3 minutes to figure out a way to connect the joke to the Proclaimers. I would walk 500 miles, and I just can't connect the two. No, I want to do an old. Now I got to explain the joke, and it doesn't work. I was like, my favorite part is when he says, "When I'll get drunk, I'll be the man who's going to get drunk next to you."
Does he sing that? No.
Yeah,
he does.
In the Proclaimers.
Right. Okay. I mean, I don't know the lyrics to that song.
Just edit all that out when you do the edit. Just between 6:45 and 7, just that can go. So anyway,
so it's this song, and it's this beautiful song. I feel like it, and it definitely evokes some emotion in me when I hear it, and I think about all the New Year's Eves that I've spent either working and being exhausted and tired and resentful toward alcoholics, and either drinking on the job or waiting until 2 a.m. to get shit-faced, and then staying up until 6 or 7 a.m. drinking, and then sleeping the whole first day of the year. So one cool thing about this song too is that it was in World War I, which is around, I think I'm going to say this is around 1914, and there was there was like the Christmas truce. Do you know about this story? Are you familiar with this?
The one they played soccer right in the middle of no man's land?
Basically,
right? Yeah.
the Germans and the English. And I think it was somewhere in Belgium. Belgium? The Netherlands? Belgium. I still don't know what the difference is between those. And but at one point, especially several years later, so they have this beautiful moment, right, where it was kind of weird and surreal, and they decided to have a truce. And I think it was a couple years later, Auld Lang Syne became this thing where the English soldiers were singing it, except they were plugging in the words, "We're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here." And so they would just sing it, "We're here because we're here, because we're here, because we're here." And as a very like grim, this is when the what are you doing over there?
I'm pouring water into a coffee mug, but it's not showing up on the thing, so I know you can hear it. I know, right?
So what? So basically, it was this very grim thing. Like, this is when I think, is it the sarin gas or when the Zyklon B?
It was
when they
mustard gas.
Mustard
yeah,
gas. So
sarin
they're
gas
starting
was
to
a
use
whole
this
other
shit.
thing,
And
yeah.
so it's like the warfare has changed and it's gotten really dark and there's no way
Right.
out. And this is the hellish reality of World War One. And, you can go listen to a hardcore history podcast all about that. But,
Right.
and so they would sing this like on New Year's Day. Like that was just their sad, grim. We're here because we're here.
Because we're here. It's almost like
here.
you're just acceptance, right?
Acceptance.
Or I wonder if it's sarcastic acceptance.
I don't think it was. I think that they were like, this is it. This is life for the rest of my life, which may not last today.
But I mean, look at the tie-in to our lives.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I mean, of course, we don't have it as hard as men who died in the mud. But the sentiment can be similar. You have an emotional death with alcoholism. Inactive alcoholism. And how many times did you feel like I'm here because I'm here because I'm here
Because I'm
fucking
here.
Yeah, I felt like that a lot. I felt like that. I still kind of get there. More like we do it because we have to do it, and then when it's done, we're done. Do you know what I mean? Just about certain things in life in general and stuff. So.
Well, and just in waking up with those hangovers and feeling
Dude,
dizzy
yeah.
and weird. And I haven't thought about hangovers in a long, long time. But I had a drinking dream last night, Jerry.
On New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Eve, I woke up this morning and I didn't have the same shame and guilt that I'd felt in the past. I think I'm a little more removed from the drinking dreams than I have, and it's been years, right? It's been a couple years probably, but I can't remember. I think I was like at work or doing something. There was a restaurant situation, and it was like wine in a coffee mug was what I was drinking. So even in my
Classing
dreams,
it up, dude. Yeah.
even in my brain, it's like, well, this is the kind of drunk you are.
Right. Just walk around whiskey in an I can't believe it nut butter container. Just sipping it out of an old butter container. Anyway,
Hopefully one
so
that's
you didn't
washed
wake
out.
up and pat yourself down? Every
No,
time I had a
excuse me.
drinking dream, I've always like patted myself down after. Like wake up and make sure my arms and legs are still there for some reason. It's,
Yeah,
I
like
always feel
that
so
you're
traumatic.
Well, so I didn't feel that way, but I do remember thinking like I feel like in the dream I had fallen asleep after drinking and then woken up and drank more. And I remember pouring like red wine on top of white wine. So it was like just whatever it just into
Homemade
the coffee
rosé.
mug.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. It's a John Staley move. Yeah.
Totally. I would have no qualms about that. And so, but I got up and I was like, that's weird. And so I wrote it down in my book but that's I haven't had one of those in forever. So I don't know if that was just a little reminder to me of like, well, you can go back to that and that is exactly what it will be like if you choose to, or here you go, you have this day in front of you.
Right.
And I just, that cyclical feeling of being stuck in hell every single day. And I have many memories of New Year's Eve or New Year's days, I should say, where it was like, oh God, fuck, at least I don't have to work today. That sort of relief of having the day off, and then like sometimes drinking in the morning. Yeah. Just to feel better.
Well, yeah, you have a couple beers to fucking steady out the turbulence. It's pretty crazy because I know this isn't obviously not coming out today. It'll come out in a week or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
couple
know
days.
how far we're behind, but I know that it's silent out there right now. I've heard maybe I live on a major not a major intersection, but I live on a fairly busy street, and I've heard maybe since I've been awake since 7:30, like 4 cars maybe. I mean, it is dead out there, and I wonder how many of them are out there just fucking limping. You know what I mean? Just limping past that finish line. Just, I don't know, man. I don't feel any envy. I really don't. And I don't say that as like, oh, I'm in this place of spiritual fucking superiority or anything. I don't, there's no promise out there anymore that there used to be, Unless, some new development occurs where I'm like, I got to get back out to the bars and figure out what I'm looking for. But... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, it's just not there anymore. It's just not there. But, like I deal with insomnia every few months. Sometimes it'll be like, I think I looked at because I took down my old calendar this morning. And I think the last time I had a bout of insomnia was this time last year around. And I just had it the other day. I couldn't fall asleep. I ended up eventually falling asleep at about 4 in the morning and then sleeping till like 7, you know. And I try not to get frustrated, because if I get pissed off that I'm not sleeping, then, you know, it just makes it worse. But there are moments in that darkness where I'm in the living room with some random YouTube video playing, because the hushed voice, it's almost like ASMR. It'll like make me fall asleep, you know. So I watch videos of people exploring abandoned buildings.
Jesus
I do. I don't know
Christ.
why,
Okay.
but it's super comforting to me, you know, especially if it's in the desert. Like if they're going through like old houses in the Salton Sea or something, like I love that. Like I'll play that and turn it all the way down. But anyhow, in those moments of those people going through like a rat turd filled fucking trailer, I just think, man, I would be able to sleep right now if I had a shot. Like if and I think that's the only time I would probably relapse, is if I were on like a week long insomnia binge. Because I've been on, I think my longest binge of insomnia has been like 4 days, 5 days. Of like sleeping 2 to 3 hours every night, and it's just hell by like day number 3, you know, because then you get anxiety. Like, am I gonna sleep? Am I gonna be able? Is tonight the night? Is this it? Or am I just gonna lay here and be pissed off? You know. Yeah. But those are, you know, that's one of those times where it's funny, because that thought occurred to me. I could have a shot. Act on it. Yeah, if I could have a shot, like a shot of 151, I'd fall right to sleep. But then there's that old alcoholic mentality, right? Taking more of the poison as medicine. Do you know what I mean? You poison yourself, so then you drink more of the poison. You know, putting more fire on the fire, as I like to put it. You're just like, let's set this house more on fire, because that'll put the fire out.
Well, and you're looking for you're looking for some relief, and you don't know that a shot of 151 might fucking spark you up, and you might be like, oh, boom, let's go. And if you
that's that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. No. It's that fucking magic word as an alcoholic. Both of us, relief. This will provide me with relief, because that instinctual part of your brain that's been conditioned over the years to do that, is telling you this will relieve you. You know, I don't know where drinking dreams come from. You know what I mean? I don't know if they're a manifestation of a desire, or if they are just a byproduct of your subconscious mind basically going through the motions of what you used to do, or if it's a part of anxiety or what, you know. Like, I think most of us in recovery can relate to that feeling. You know what I mean? Because even though you're like, I know it was okay, there's still part of your brain, I imagine, and I can't speak for you, but in my personal opinion, there's part of my brain that still is insecure about it. Like, what's going on in my brain that makes me think that, even my subconscious brain, like, why haven't I trained it yet to know that that's not a viable option? You know, that's not a course of action I want to take. You know?
Right. And you know, when people talk about like subconsciously manifesting things into your life, and your subconscious doesn't know the difference between reality and between what you imagine, right? So your subconscious just knows that. And so, is my subconscious still drinking in there somewhere? I don't know. I mean, I felt fine about it when I got up, and I was like, oh, just, you know, like, okay, that's okay. But I have no idea. I mean, I would love to, when the science comes out, I will.
That's it. I don't think anybody knows, right? I would love to know too. Let's hope they do it before we get real old, because then I would be like, I'm so curious about what makes our brains tick the way we do, right? I was reading a thing the other day about the difference between addiction and dependence.
Okay.
And that addiction was the psychological aspect, and dependence was the physiological aspect. So like people who have car accidents and get hooked, you know, on painkillers, there's a physical dependence. I guess it's the body becomes physically dependent. Like it needs that opiate or whatever. And then once you discontinue it, the body goes through withdrawal, and then you're done. And then your mind never goes back to it. But then there's the psychological aspect of it that is addicted to it. You know, like once we've cleared that alcohol from our systems and we are no longer physically dependent on alcohol, what keeps us dreaming about it years later, or thinking about it, or even considering it as a viable way to bring oneself relief? You know, is there it's one of those big questions I wonder about all the time. Is it a cultural basis? Does it have I mean, I know it has a psychological basis, obviously. I mean, you know, I can speak for both of us. We're fundamentally broken people, you know, so.
From the, you know, I mean, from the get-go, even from the very fucking start, I think, for me, you know, and
it's so fascinating to me. Right?
I think that it's part culturally. I think being an American is is a very fucking weird thing.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of America was I mean, it was based in a lot of, well, there was a lot of alcoholism that was brought over. There was a lot of
Right.
fucking
I mean,
trauma
it's definitely
and
part of the European. It's really strong in certain European cultures. Look at the Slavic and the Eastern cultures. Look at Russia. You know, like that's just how they roll. I think every culture will tell you that they have the drinking culture. You know, like I was raised Mexican American, and the Mexicans be like, "We drink," and the Italians are like, "We drink." You know, like.
I mean, alcohol is very pervasive. I mean, everywhere. Although I don't know a lot about, you know, Native Americans' history
They
with
didn't
that
drink, right?
either,
Until
right?
we showed up
Until
with
we
it,
showed
yeah.
up. And
Right.
so I think that America was based in a lot of ways on alcohol, on a lot of terror and pain and agony and a lot of fucked up shit. I mean, you could say that about a lot of places, but I
Right.
feel like that's something that has developed, and every year it
Right.
doesn't, when this stuff goes unchecked, then it doesn't get fixed, it doesn't get healed, it doesn't get repaired. And so
Right.
that's part of, you know, this year for me is like this is the first, and again, you know, we said this before, that you know, time is just a construct, a human construct, and days and months and years and decades don't have any
Right.
mean or
We
whatever.
blow in your mind. Yeah, we were laughing
Right.
about that. Yeah.
But this is the first decade that I could fully say that I'm sober, that I'm focused, that I can actually look ahead at, because it's been fucking fuzzy for the last 20 plus years.
Right.
And I've
Right.
been
and
sober.
even in your first few years of recovery, I imagine it's
Sure.
just, like, for me personally, it was just hanging on till it was done. Mm-hmm. Like it was less about planning and more about just hanging on for dear life. You know. Yeah.
So I'll be coming up on 5 years. You'll be coming up on 6
Yeah.
years. And I feel like
Yeah,
this is
weird.
Now I'm kind of like, okay, I've got the lay of the land, and I think that I can better plot my trajectory this year than I could have in previous years. Only because I have a clearer head, and I've had a little practice with it.
Yeah.
And I've had a little practice with life, and I've done things like, okay, well, I quit drinking. I quit smoking cigarettes. I've gotten a better handle on my relationship with food, and my aversion to exercise is now something that exercise is something I enjoy.
My aversion to exercise.
That was me, you
Yeah,
know?
no,
And so
it's
then,
a funny word. I like it.
so then like this year it's like, okay, well, so my finances, like that's my next thing, right? So how do I fix that? Because I mean, the money just seems to go, but it has to come, right, for it to go.
Right.
So it's coming, but it's like, what am I doing with it? I'm not doing very much good with it. So I need to do
Like
better
surviving.
with it. Surviving.
Holding on for life. Yeah.
So, taking that level of like surviving to doing something better, thriving with it, and whatever it is, whether it's the money or the health or. So this is the first year where I feel like, okay, now I can start a new decade, and I could potentially be sober for this whole decade, and
Yeah.
have like a real remembering of all these things. Because even in the last 10 years, I was drunk for half of them, and then I
Yeah.
was just trying to like dig myself out of that fucking trench for the other
Right.
half. So
Right.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to 2020.
Yeah, so am I. There's
you know?
potential, right? And I think that's what I was texting you. I was like, maybe about potential and, things that could be, or things that we're looking forward to, or, I mean, there's big plans for me this year as well. I mean, not big plans, but, things, life-changing things. Like like I said, go get a driver's license, which is funny that I'm a 44-year-old man who's never had a driver's license, but I've never had a driver's license because driving gets in the way of getting fucked up.
Right?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather just take cabs or take the bus than get all fucked up and get a DUI and then have to go to jail. They don't let you drink in jail. That's stupid.
No, they don't.
Yeah. So those are those things. Driver's license, vasectomy, which is funny. You bring up things about manifesting your future. And I've been talking so much to my wife about getting this vasectomy, and like so much that I worry about the irony of fate. You know what I mean? Like the cruel irony where I'm like, at one point, a couple days later, I had this massive anxiety, and I went up to her and I'm like, "You're not pregnant, are you?" And she's like, "Why would you think I'm pregnant?" Like out of nowhere, And I was like, "I don't know, just because I've been talking about this." vasectomy so much that I just expect irony to be like, hey, 44-year-old man, it's time for another fucking baby. It, like, even me saying on the podcast, I'm like tempted to like knock on this desk. You know what I mean? To like just keep it at bay because the anxiety's there. It's manifesting your own future, right? I guess there's a conscious and subconscious way of doing it. And I think it's more along the lines of, I think the subconscious way is, you ever intentionally, especially while you're drinking, do something because you knew it was going to fail? And even though it was going to fail, you knew that the outcome would work for you because it'd give you a reason to get more fucked up.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
You're creating excuses.
Right. And so I would do things because even though I knew, or I would act out even though I knew that the outcome was going to be a negative one, just so I would have an excuse. Which is dumb because I didn't need an excuse. I was just like, I'm drinking because I'm awake. What the fuck are you doing? Because you've heard me say that to people. Like, that's how my attitude was. But I would still manifest negative things to provide myself with drama to like deal with, you know.
When I know that my behavior is bad regardless, but I can my brain finds a way to justify it, you know, to create an excuse. I go, well, I fucked that up, so fuck it, it doesn't matter. The same, you know, fuck it doesn't matter. I'm short $100 for rent this month, so fuck it, I'm just going to go out and blow the rest of it because I can't make it, so it doesn't matter.
Might as well be short 300. I've been there. Yeah, see, that's a great example. Yeah, I've totally done that.
So I think that those things, and like manifesting positive things, like, okay, well, you've got these things on your list, and it doesn't
Right.
you're still looking behind your shoulder, like, you know, something's gonna mess with me, you know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's all stinking thinking, dude.
So I mean, I think that you can you know what you need to do,
Yeah.
right? And you know what will get in the way of what you want, and you just don't do those things or move toward. And so I just feel like this is the first decade where I can look forward from the beginning.
Right. And I think that's great. I think that's great that we're in a point right now, both of us, in our recovery, in this phase of recovery where it's not about triage as much as now it's about like treatment. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I think in the early days of it, in the early years of it, it was triage. All I was trying to do was just get to the thing that's been affected the worst and remedy that. And now it's like, okay, now it's all about this daily treatment, you know, which it always has been about, but this is that routine, that daily treatment, I can't remember the word, maintenance, you know. Now it's like, we always joke about it, and we did it early in the podcast too, about the Louis C.K. bit about just doing that thing with your leg.
Over and he's like,
over. Yeah,
that's just
does
what
that
you
make
do.
me feel better, or is that going to cure it? No, it's just what you do now. You know, this is just what you do now. You know, like, is my alcoholism going to be cured? No, but this is just what I do now. I don't know, and this is the other one too. Like, I think we've talked about before. Like, would I want it to be cured? You know, and we have had this conversation. Like, if they offered me a pill or a ray that they'd zap me with, and they're like, "Congratulations, you can now drink Prosecco or whatever." Like, would I want it? I don't know. Is Prosecco even that good? Not really. Do you know what I'm saying? Like.
I wouldn't want a glass of Prosecco.
Loose once a year. Like, I don't want to fucking I think even if you shot me with a ray, that lizard part of my brain would be like, really, you just get to get real drunk once a year, and what is that, 3 beers, and then
you're still gonna have a hangover. You're still gonna feel bad in the morning, you know, if you're gonna go get rip roaring drunk.
This. Abstinence is the way for me, man.
So I think that, like, the whole ray gun, the whole pill thing is, I never wanted to. I don't know what it's like to. I've never ever known what it's like to drink normal, and
Same here.
I don't want to. One, I don't want to spend any more money on alcohol. I don't want to spend any more time in bars. I don't want to spend any more energy, effort. All those other things are put to better use. So I can't imagine me going, oh, now I can go have a smart cocktail with the folks, you know what I mean? Like, that seems so absurd to me, because my time, energy, effort, and money can be better spent on other things.
Yeah. What's a smart cocktail? You mean like a non-alcoholic?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
I just it's a
because you said a smart cocktail. I thought it was like a cranberry juice with some alpha brain in it.
No. I think it's smart. Then people say it like in the '60s. We'll go have a smart cocktail or something like a fancy. I don't know.
I thought you were talking about something new that I hadn't read about yet. That you hadn't sent me a link to a magazine article about yet.
That made
a magazine
you angry?
article that doesn't even make sense either. Yeah, that thing did. That one you did send me did make me angry. I was just like, what the fuck? Yeah, so I guess I was a little angry. Yeah, it wasn't like a what the fuck.
I don't remember what it was, but it was it was
just
kind
about sobriety is the new black, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, anyway, that's a whole other fucking thing there.
Well, I think part of the article was the person writing it was basically saying, you don't have to tell anybody why you don't drink. It's none of their business. And you can just tell them it's none of their business. And
yeah, I was like, you're fucking... That was the one you sent me. There's two of them you sent me that made me mad. You got to stop sending me that shit. But anyway, the second one was just some young lady or just some young person or whatever. It was a person having a bad time because everyone's like, why don't you drink? And I'm like, stop fucking hanging out with those people and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You can't control the narrative around you. You can't. You cannot. When it comes to your alcoholism, you cannot control it. It's like you're going to go out and tame a wild fucking horse, get out of town. It's not going to happen. You just need to accept it. People are going to ask you. And if you don't want people to ask... See, now I'm getting mad again. I'm just getting annoyed because I'm like, if you don't want anybody to ask you, don't hang around with motherfuckers that ask you. That's as simple as that.
Right.
People don't ask me. Maybe it's different because I'm old. I don't think so. You
No.
know? People are like, you want a glass of wine? I'm like, no. They're like, cool. Right on.
You got a Coke Zero?
You got Coke Zero? Yeah. And if they ask me, I'm like, because I don't know, because I'm really bad. I just don't drink. I'm bad at it.
Yeah.
You want to see my dick and see me cry? Because that's going to happen. We'll show everybody my dick and start crying. I'm just going to take it out and just start crying.
Basically. And then it's just, I just don't see any use for it anymore. So even if I could drink normally, and somebody said, they're like, boom, you can drink normally. And then someone was like, well, we're going to meet up for cocktails. And I would say, I don't think that I would have one because it would be a waste of my $12 when I could just get a club soda or whatever.
$12 to like feel a little fuzzy and different. You know what I mean? What's the use in that? Like I tried to explain to Olive why people drink. I was explaining it to her the other day, and I had to be really cautious to not say the word good. People drink because it makes them feel good. And I didn't say that. I had to be really cautious with that. And
what did you say?
It makes people feel different. And sometimes people want to feel different than they really feel. With some people, they like it. Some people like it too much, like me. And some people don't care for it. You know what I mean? But that word good, that my mind immediately went to good. It makes you feel good. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, stupid alcoholic brain, you're still there. Like you haven't left yet. And it never will. And I'm okay with that. But, Well, it's funny. I have to be really aware of that with a little kid, because when I was a little kid and I asked why people drink, that's what they told me. It makes you feel better. Life sucks. Have a drink.
Yeah. Ooh, shit,
my
sounds
mom
good.
right now. My mom's listening to this going, I never fucking said that. Yeah, you did, Leanne.
So I think that time has passed. That idea of wanting. I've developed different tools to feel good, to feel better, to get by and to get high.
Oh shit! I was gonna clean my room, but then I got high.
So now I'm like, I'm doing things like, okay, we're gonna record this podcast, and then I'm gonna have like 3 hours before. 3 hours before work tonight, and then I'm thinking, well, I don't have enough time to go for a run. I'm like, bullshit, you don't. You go for a 30-minute one. You don't have to go for an hour and a half or whatever. You go for a little one, and you go in there. And so it's just these things where it's like I'm shifting my thoughts, and I'm shifting, and every time a bad one comes in, I'm like, no, we're not going to listen to that. We're going to go. Yeah. It's like, well, why don't you just get dressed for your run before you record the podcast, John?
Right.
Oh, okay. Right. There you go. That's smart. Did you lay out your headphones and your sunglasses and your little fanny pack that holds your phone?
Get your protein gel, Johnny.
Exactly.
Did you get your protein gel?
I had some of those on the marathon that I ran. The half
Are they
marathon.
Gross?
They're pretty gross. They're just super sweet and like jelly.
Wait, let's circle back. You said fanny pack? Hell yeah.
Yes.
Good for you, man. I'm proud of you.
It's a little
I'm not
guy.
even going to tease you about it. My
Yeah.
wife wears a fanny pack at the school, and I like can't even fuck with her about it. That's how I know I'm getting older, is that I can't be like, nice fanny pack. You know what I mean? Like, whereas 30-year-old me, 28-year-old me, been like, good job, man. Way to go.
Way to go, fucking loser.
Got some parent-teacher conferences later there? Or?
So, like, what I'll do is I'll put in one little zip pocket, I put my phone, which is hooked up to the wireless headphones,
You
right?
don't have pockets? Or?
Well, I do, but they'll flop around. It'll flop around.
Yeah.
My phone or anything that I put in my pockets will flop around. What I used to do is put my phone in a pocket, and then I would get one of those little clips. You know when you have like a lot of papers and you put one of those big fat clips?
The binder clip?
The binder clip. So I would put a binder
Yeah.
clip on my pocket, and that worked for a while, but I was like, finally, I got to get a fanny pack.
You'd binder clip the phone to your pocket.
To my
like,
pocket. So that's what I do. That's what I used to do.
Man. Yeah.
So if you don't have a fanny pack and you want to go for a run with your phone, like just binder clip it. It'll work.
That's a good idea. I just let the shit bang around on my thigh. But it's cold here, so I have a running jacket.
Zip
Megan
it up.
bought me she bought me a new running jacket actually for
Nice.
Christmas. It's really nice, but it has a higher up pocket so you can slide it in up here and zip it so it stays kind of on your chest. But
Nice. Binder clip.
Man, I ran 2 miles yesterday without stopping. Out of my 3-mile run, I ran 2 miles straight.
That's awesome.
So I'm like building it up. So now it's, do the 3 miles and just be like, yeah, I run a 5K every 3 days a week.
5K.
No BFD, dude. No big fucking deal,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I like that you prep for it. This is what I do, right? Like I lifted weights this morning, so there's prep. There's always prep to it. And if you just make yourself start doing the prep, then you're gonna do it. You got 3 hours is enough time,
There's
you can
plenty
fit
of
a
time.
shower in there. Yeah.
I can fit a shower in there. I can eat some food
Yeah.
and I can go to work. And it's like,
But the defeatist part of you is like, no, I don't know. You're cutting it close. You're like, I love that you're telling yourself, though, just do a short run, do 2 miles or whatever, instead of, I don't know how many you run on average, but
3 to 4. But I'll just
3 to
be like,
4.
why don't you see how fast you can run 2 miles, John? Why don't you do that?
Right.
And then just be done with it. So that's kind of what I do is and I have those conversations with myself all the time about, well, you won't have enough time to do. And I was like, not have enough time to do what, John? Fucking sit around and scratch your ass? Like,
right, watch some Naked Jakey on YouTube. Or, yeah.
not that there's anything wrong with Naked Jakey.
No, he's funny as fuck.
He's
but, yeah.
hilarious, but yeah, and I wanted to go back to the YouTube videos that you fall asleep to. So I do the same thing, except I'll put on like an hour-long history of Rome or history of Greece.
Right, that's a good idea.
And so it's
Because
like
there's not a lot of loud noises or crazy.
No.
It's just someone narrating.
exactly, and they're talking.
That's a good idea.
They're using all these names I don't really know about and these places I don't know about, and at the very least, maybe subconsciously I'll get a little history in there.
Yeah, you learn. I'm just learning about like old abandoned Kmart in fucking Laredo, Texas. You know
What's
what I
the
mean?
name of the guy who does? He does all these malls and stuff. There's one guy who does a bunch of them. I'll have to find it for you.
Brightside Films is one of them. But anyway, yeah, there's a few of them. There's a dude called Explore With Us who does it with his daughter, and his daughter's like 20, 21, and she's really, really good looking. And so at this point now that she's older, I think it's just the videos are like pervs being like, show more of your daughter, dude. And that bums me out. But they're real clickbaity. Now it was good when I first started. Now it's clickbaity. Like, we took 5,000 glow sticks and threw them down a mine. And I'm like, don't give a fuck about that. Go back to the old trailer.
That's
the Mojave
littering.
Desert. Yeah, it's literally littering. The best shit better be tied to a rope. Or like, we went to Area 51. I don't care about Area 51. Area 51's dumb.
It is.
Go to the old trailer full of hantavirus and dead mice.
So, I want to go back to the Auld Lang Syne because that's what we're talking about. Not that,
Right.
But so there's this author, and her name is Amy Krauss Rosenthal, and she's done children's books. She was most famous for a book, I believe, called like The Encyclopedia of an Ordinary Life. She recently died of cancer the last few years.
Oh man, rest in power.
She did.
Rest in power.
She did. She was a radio talk show host, so she's done a bunch of different stuff. But one of the things she would do is she would do these sort of performance pieces, and she would get people together, and they would all sing together. And you and I have talked about sitting in a room and holding hands and saying a prayer with people, and regardless of what the thing is that is being spoken, there's a certain level of like connectiveness that comes from
Yes.
saying the same thing, right? Being in unison, in harmony with other human beings. Like this is
I see where you're going.
this is a helpful thing, right?
Right. It
So
is.
what she would do is she would get people together and they would sing this grim, sad version of the World War I Auld Lang Syne. We're here because we're here because we're here because we're here. And they would sing that over and over, but more the idea was to put the intention of hope, positivity, being heard, being seen, being together, that we are here. And so this was one of the things that she did. And speaking of Auld Lang Syne, and I think that regardless of it's very easy to take a nihilistic approach toward anything. And
Right. No,
I've done it. I've done it for most of my life.
That's my fucking jam, dude. Yeah.
You're like, fuck it, whatever. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does it? And so, like, I love this idea of, well, taking something that was really sad and grim and pointless and saying, well, we can change it by putting a different meaning on it.
Right.
And so, I mean, I don't know, like, what, you know what I mean? Like 2020.
Yeah, we're here because we're here.
Because we're here.
Because
So-
we're fucking here. So what's up? Acceptance. Let's do it. Or, yeah, instead of, but a different type of acceptance. Instead of, resigning yourself to something that cannot be changed. It's more like adapting to something that cannot be changed.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Yeah.
So-
you know, it's funny. I was thinking about the New Year, man, and even that song, like, to me, is still nostalgic. Even when I do the countdown, it always like makes me a little emotional. Like it's still to this day, even sober, I like feel it. Like I feel this like weird, like hitch, and I think it's relief almost too. It reminds me of, and this is gonna be kind of gross, but it reminds me of like popping like an ingrown hair. You know, and all year I've just been pushing on this ingrown hair, and then right as I hit the strike of midnight, it just finally bursts, and that pressure has been relieved. And there's probably a better way to describe that feeling, but that pressure is relieved, and all that is out, and there's just relief. And I feel like every year builds up to this moment for me, and it's not a significant moment necessarily. It's not like, do you know what I'm saying? But like even that song makes me feel really emotional for some reason.
Yeah.
You know. Grateful
Grateful.
and relieved, you know. Yeah. Even drunk though, I was grateful for that New Year. I can sit here and tell you I was ungrateful, but there were some things I was grateful for. I was definitely grateful for more booze, but I mean, but like even then in those moments, I was like, I fucking made it. At least in the nihilist in me is like, yeah, time is just a construct. Whatever.
Right, but that doesn't
Right.
serve. That
We
doesn't
went
serve.
around the sun once, whoop-de-doo. But there's still something to it that's just so significant, you know?
Whatever this thing that's been given to me inside me, or that I've been built with, or created with, or whatever, like wants to be heard and wants to be seen and wants to be meaningful.
Word.
So like, why not give some credence to that? And maybe the tools of sobriety, I can do a better job of not developing those ingrown hairs that fucking get into
That need
me.
to be burst
that need to
every
be
year.
burst every year. So
Like,
and
maybe
like
just stop shaving that part there, buddy.
right, I heard this thing too that was, a lot of people will say, New Year's resolutions. Well, I'll see you on February 19th. I'll see you in March when you failed and like it doesn't work and all this other shit. And it's like, well, even if you slip, right? Even if you say I'm going to go to the gym every single day and then you don't, and then you don't, and then you're not going to the gym anymore, like at least you did that for like a quarter of the year. And
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why you can't re-up your resolutions. So if you have
You can
something,
always re-up. Yeah.
that's just do it the first of the month and then re-up and say, okay, I'm going to recommit to this. Because there's an old saying, right? There's that old AA saying, I don't know if it's AA saying, but you couldn't get drunk on yesterday's booze, so you can't stay sober on yesterday's recovery, on yesterday's sobriety, or
Right.
whatever it is, right? So like, if maybe I want to, whatever the program is, whatever the habit is I want to develop, I have to keep coming back to it until it sticks.
Right. Or just keep practicing it.
And this is just
Or
another...
yeah, coming back to it, yeah.
So sobriety is just another habit that you and I have developed. We had a habit before of getting drunk all the time, and now there's
just
this
a different version of it, right? Because think about it, when we drank, we got together and mostly talked about drinking, or what we would do while we were drinking, or talking shit about everybody else around us who was drinking. And now we get together and talk about not drinking, or just our ways of dealing with not drinking, or dealing with life while not drinking. Speaking of drinking, they were drinking chartreuse last night, though.
What?
Yeah, it was some drink
Fancy.
they were making. It was like, yeah, it was very fancy.
What was it? What else was in the drink? As a bartender, I'm curious now.
It was the guy had bought a $75 bottle of cherries. So there's specific types of cherries.
Yeah.
It was chartreuse cherries, lemon juice, and something else. I don't know. I'll have to ask Megan. I'll
was
ask
it gin?
Gin.
Was there? Was there? Oh, was maraschino?
Yeah, but they were the dark maraschino.
Those are the Griotines. I know what you're talking about. Those are like Italian or French or something.
Right. And they were using Bombay Sapphire. This is triggering for a bunch of people right now.
Was it the last word?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bam, look at that. You fucking Jeopardy, motherfucker. I was tattooing someone yesterday, and I was telling him, yeah, my best friend is sober, and he's a bartender. And they were just like, that's so crazy. How does he know if a drink tastes good? And I'm like, he makes a bar back drink it. I'm like, that's what you do. You grab by the collar and yank him over and say, taste this, fool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's your shift drink.
There you go.
It's a straw.
But it's like,
anyway,
if you measure everything. It's like, I don't taste. You
You don't
can't
taste every cake you make if you're a baker.
No,
you don't
you
just
don't.
take a big fucking bite out of fucking
No.
Sally's wedding cake, But
No.
it was a good question, and no one's ever like, well, how do you deal with life being a sober tattooer? I'm like, fucking 3/4 of the guys my age are sober now because we're all fucking fuck ups. But like bartenders, it's still, you guys are like a weird breed. You're like, oh, sober bartender.
It's a trip,
Like,
man.
and then they were talking about, not about you in general, but we were talking about something else, and they're like, well, don't you think it's ironic? What was it? Oh, this woman, a person in Eugene had gotten arrested recently who was a homeless advocate. She was helping out the homeless, and she got arrested for selling them all heroin.
Jesus.
Right? She was working for one of the warming centers, so perfect job, right? And then they're like, yeah, it'd be like giving out shots of whiskey at an AA meeting. And I'm like, no, that's not like that at all. I mean, I see your analogy, but it doesn't work like that. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because people at AA are trying not to drink. Like, why don't you just say it's like handing out shots of whiskey in a bar? You know what I mean? Like, that makes more sense. But there's still that idea of like this desperation in AA, that it's just a room full of people who are super desperate to have a drink right now. And I'm like, man, like a lot of the meetings I've gone to, it's a lot of people who are in there who really want to drink right now, and that's why they're there. But it's like, it's not like if you throw a bottle of booze in the middle of the room, we're all going to lose our minds and beat the shit out of each other for it. Like that's fucking ridiculous.
No,
I don't
that's
know.
not. I
that
mean,
frame of thinking is silly, but people don't know.
The desire has changed. So the desire,
changed.
it's the desire to not drink. It's not the
That's
desire
why I'm
to
in the
drink.
room. If
That's
I
why I'm
wanted
in
a
the
drink,
room.
I would go sit in another room with booze in it. That they'll just give me the booze and not be like, yeah.
Which is
Anyhow.
not to say, as a sober bartender, I'm not conflicted with my particular
Sometimes
situation.
that was my other thing, right? It's like, are you conflicted? I mean, I imagine there's something to it, but
I'm also not there to judge people's decisions to have a drink. Like, who am I to tell them that it's bad for them? Like,
Right.
it may not be. They may be just enjoying their couple of drinks, and
your job is to just be responsible in that you don't let them drive.
Right.
You don't overserve them.
all
what I
that
mean?
stuff.
Which, come on. Honestly, though,
Which is part of
like,
the job.
What bartender
because,
is like, oh, I can't be overserving you guys. No, they're absolutely going to overserve to you.
It's a
I'm
super
not gonna
great-
speak for you, but
Right.
that's the whole point of being a bartender is people are there to get fucking drunk.
If I'm honest, yeah. I mean, it's a gray area, but like nobody goes to
Yeah.
a bar to stay sober. Nobody
Yeah.
goes to a bar to have one drink an hour. And
Right.
but I mean, so yes, of course I'm conflicted, but it's also where I find myself, and I'm working to create other avenues of employment, hopefully in
Right.
the future, so that I
is
don't have to
impressive
do
that you
this
could
forever.
tell what the drink was by like 2 ingredients, though. God, you're like a Rain Man. You're like a Rain Man of bartending. And that's what I was telling this friend of mine. I was like, well, he's more of a waiter now, but he gets these, these private party gigs. And you know, he comes, and I talked you up, like he comes in pretty high demand. You know, he's like he's a fucking good shooter down there in Napa. You know, think about it. This bartenders are a dime a dozen. This guy will tell you what a drink is by just looking at the color of the fucking label on the bottle. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's true. I mean,
and he does the sobriety podcast with me, so chew that up.
You know, and that's the dichotomy of me. That'll be the name of my next book, The Dichotomy of Me.
Your next podcast will just be The Dichotomy. It's just your musings and thoughts. It's a 3-hour podcast, no guests. Just
no
you
guests.
talking for 3 hours.
I wonder. I don't know that I could do one just by myself. I know a lot of people do.
Just leave that to fucking Bill Burr, man.
Jesus. Yeah. I prefer the conversations, but so I just love this idea of the Auld Lang Syne, and you know, you put the meaning that you want into the year you're going to have, and
that's great. Let's run with that. I love that. You put the thought. What is it? You put the. Say it again.
You put the meaning into the year that you want to have.
I love that. I'm writing that down on my fucking dry erase board.
So like it doesn't have to be this thing where. I don't want to get into like diets and different stuff, but that's what a lot of people want to lose weight, right? That's a big thing. And so, and maybe we will, I think we should have a conversation about fitness and exercise and diet and stuff like that. But I just think that, you know, it's developing a habit is not easy, and it takes time, and it takes the daily diligence.
Well, and it's got to make you feel good, right? Or you got to figure out a way to make it fulfill you in some sense in order to keep doing it. You have to see
some results.
What's the word? Results. Thank you. You have to see some results, or it's not worth doing. At least that's the way the human brain works. Getting sober, getting in shape. Do you know what I mean? Starting to write again, any creative endeavor. If you're not seeing results, then you're not going to want to do it, you know?
And I think there's something like you have to, it's like takes, was it like 45 days for something like that? 45 days for a habit to stick. So you got to do something for like a month and a half or like 2 months. And then there was something, you got to do something for 12 months for it to be a lifestyle change. And so when I hear these things, and these are tips that I've heard from watching, you know, psychologists on YouTube and people talking about I've read a couple of books on habit forming. There's one called The Power of Habit, and I'm in the middle of another one called Atomic Habits. I'm telling you,
dude,
dude.
It's like a fucking party at your place. It's like documentaries about Rome, psychology, and business channels on YouTube.
Basically, I know, man. It's Jesus. What have I become?
Dude, you let loose and listen to a little John Denver?
Or... Country Mountain, Rocky Mountain High. That's the only high I get.
But you know what? That's part of your motivation. I just fuck with you because I love you.
I know, but it's true. You're like, I have to fucking remind myself that I'm not, you know, getting hammered and, you know, pulling my dick out.
And crying.
Yes. So I think that it's just a matter of reminding yourself why you're doing something. And I mean, results don't come overnight. They literally do not come overnight. And the shit takes time. But
I feel like there's a psychological aspect to at least trying to find tiny ones. Anything fulfilling.
Yes.
Because if you can find the little fulfilling thing, even if you're like, I ran today just a few extra feet, I feel like if you can spin that in a positive way, or my chest didn't get as hot, or do you know what I mean? I did one extra rep or whatever it is, or I went 1 extra hour without a drink, which is, I've been there, you know, like if you can, even that tiny result, I think if you can find it, you know.
One thing that I like to do is I found like, I love that Map My Run app, because I'll like, the cool thing is I'll get to, you know, I take a picture of myself, but also like I write a little something in there. Right. And so it's like I get a daily sort of reminder of what I'm doing. And so I have a track of it. And so it's always kind of cool to be able to go back and look at it. And you know, I post a lot of this stuff on social media just because I kind of like the accountability of it. But also it's fun for me to kind of put the videos together and put the little things and learn how they work. And
and the people who've known you for years are going like, wow, that's fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Like I'm telling you, because I say it. You saw your whole
see me every
collage
week.
Of the year. Yeah. And so I see the subtle change, but But it's just crazy to be like, John in those fucking orange sunglasses ran 6 miles. Like, that's fucking crazy.
I know.
I don't do the map my run because it conflicts with the Fitbit. But you don't even need, if you're thinking about, like, you're out there listening to this podcast, you're like, wow, they went from 2 years of doing this, or however long they went from alcoholism to working out. But like, you don't need a fitness tracker. Like, you have a phone. You're listening to a podcast on something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just have your phone do all your tracking for you. To be able to see your progress is
I think it's helpful in some way.
It's absolutely a result.
Go analog and get a notebook. I have one of those, and I started it, and I didn't do it because I'm more on the digital side of it. But just finding some sort of tracking your progress is great to go back and be like, oh, look at this. Look what I did here, and I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and it's like, okay. And so
I do this pedometer.
Mm-hmm.
PEDometer, like foot, not like the other one.
Yeah.
Not like Epstein.
Yes.
Anyway, I do that one because the Map My Run conflicts with my Fitbit. As far as the Fitbit won't track the run if Map My Run is tracking the run. Like Map My Run will take precedent and track the run, and so then when I get it in the Fitbit, I can't. It shows that I have done exercise, but it doesn't. The GPS turns off on it. I need to figure out how to make the two apps work together, which I know they can because I track calories in a running and the Fitbit.
Because I use Map My Run, and I use another one called Relive, which does like the little videos of like the little flyover videos of the runs, and I use them both at the same time. Mm-hmm. So
I do the exact same route. I do one of 4 routes every time though. 3 times a week it's one of 4 routes. So there's nothing interesting as far as like the drone version of my run because it's the same fucking route. Like, it gets boring, actually. Yeah, so I try to find new ways to take the route or switch it up because there is boring and repetition. Life is boring. Repetitious things can be boring. Even the maintenance of recovery can be boring at times because life is fucking boring. Mm-hmm. And you're like, let's switch it up. Throw some whiskey in there. But I promise you, it just gets shitty so fast,
I was cleaning up my room.
Fast, dude.
Yeah, I was cleaning up my room.
Did you find an old bottle?
Oh. No, I didn't. But I was just moving shit around and getting rid of things. And there's this little note that's behind me on the top of my whiteboard, and it says that somebody had written years ago, and it just said, "There is no problem so bad that alcohol can't make worse." And that's like one of the things I was like, I'm just going to leave that up there because that's always a good reminder if I'm ever in a position where I'm thinking that a drink will make me feel better. I can remember that, like,
absolutely,
there's nothing so bad that alcohol can't make worse.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have any specific resolutions for this year?
No, and I've been asked that, right? My resolution is get a driver's license,
get
a vasectomy.
Okay. Those are easy.
Don't get nobody pregnant.
Nope.
Jerry. And no, I don't have any major resolutions. Just keep doing what I'm doing. I think I might start switching the workouts up a little bit. I'm not quite sure the direction I want to go because at this point I'm feeling really healthy. And I'm like, okay, I feel healthy. So where do I want to go? Like as far as all that stuff, I'm going to continue working out. But I guess I don't know what my resolution is in regards to that. But they're more like plans now. It's like, okay, I'm going to go home and visit Arizona in the summer. And hopefully, my wife and her real estate will start doing things. But honestly, I'm like, okay, how do I want to lift weights this year?
Yeah.
God, that's boring as fuck. Hopefully I get the garage. I'd like to paint more too. So hopefully I'll get that garage cleaned out and start painting more. Maybe that'll be my resolution, to start painting more, which isn't hard. I like painting.
Yeah. And that's a resolution. And then, like you said, it just takes goals. And I just try to apply.
I need to see results, Yeah.
You have to apply the same, practice these principles in all your affairs, Jerry.
Bam, exactly. Whether it comes to fucking doing, 3 reps of 12 of 16-pound weights or whatever. Yeah.
Or, moving some things around in the garage to make it more conducive and comfortable or interesting or whatever it is. I don't know. Or, yeah. I think I am going to, one thing is I'm trying to use less plastic. It's been the thing. And so you want to talk about party? I've been washing out the gallon Ziploc bags that I've been using.
Nice. But your resolutions are nice resolution. That sounds like a nice resolution. It has nothing necessarily to do with you. It's like the environment. You're like, I'm going to use less plastic. I'm over here like, should I start powerlifting or not?
You should. You should.
No, I'm not going to powerlift, but
I want to do more squats. I want to be able to do more squats, and stuff like that. But I want to run more miles.
Gorilla butt. Get like a silverback gorilla ass.
Basically.
power comes from my butt. You know, like
That's where it does. That's where the
I think
extra
your
miles go.
resolution should be do that fucking man versus horse race. Did you listen to that podcast yet?
Oh no,
It's
shit!
an
That's
NPR
the
podcast.
it's
in
Radio
Prescott.
Lab. Mm-hmm.
Radio Lab. It's in Prescott, in Arizona. They do a man versus horse race.
And who
It's
wins?
a 30-mile race this year, or when the podcast came out, a man won it. But
Beat
I
a
don't know.
horse.
You got to listen to the podcast next time you're running. It's really good. If you listen to the podcast when you run, yeah, it's really good. I thought about you the entire time.
Okay.
And I was running, so I was like inspired to keep going.
I'm gonna download it right now.
But yeah, no. What? So those are your resolutions? Just use less.
Just
plastic?
use less plastic, I think. And try and I want to be more organized with the things that I do, and just continually, like, it's very easy for me to slip into just forgetting to do things, not organizing my time, because a lot of the stuff I have to be self-motivated to finish, including like this podcast. So, but I've done this.
Right.
So there's a lot of these projects that I work on that are creative in nature, and so therefore nobody's paying me to do them. So I need to be more self-motivated, and not just self-motivated, but I need to block out time in the schedule for these things, because I go to work on time, and I do the job I'm supposed to. So that's basically that. And I want to put another race on the calendar for this year.
Man v horse.
Versus horse in
I don't
Prescott,
know, man.
Arizona.
It's hot. It's in the desert. It's hot as fuck.
30 miles is a long way.
That is a long way. I mean, that's longer than a marathon. So.
Yes.
Do another half M.
Yeah, I'll do another half M.
That's not a bad goal. Maybe I'll actually sign up for one of these. They do a Eugene marathon on my sobriety date on the 4th of July.
Nice.
And I think it's like a half marathon and a normal marathon. Maybe I'll sign up for one of those. Do like the 3rd marathon or something.
You should do one. You should do. Oh, you do a 5K already.
Yeah. Did you see my wife enter the room
Yeah,
over
I did.
my shoulder?
Hello.
John says hello. She's waving silently.
yes.
She doesn't want to fuck up the vibe.
That's okay.
Yeah.
She's doing great. But yeah, man,
She's doing great. I think. Yeah. Anyway,
I think those are big ones for me. Is just to be more organized and use less plastic, and just keep going. Just keep rocking and rolling and making great films, as Dirk Diggler said in Boogie Nights.
Right, you're a star. You're a shining star, dude.
But I think with that, we could call it a day.
Okay. Call it a year. Call it a decade.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.